All right. So anyway, Josh,
What were we just talking about? So sorry.
uh,
Well, we kept talking, no offense, without you,
Yeah, yeah.
talking about the chase scenes and the physical comedy. Like he's so great at doing stuff like that, like falling down and tripping on things, and he just has a great physicality, I think.
Yes. Totally agree. Like really fun. Like there's a little bit of an Oscar Madison vibe, but also a
yeah.
little bit of like a Dick Van Dyke vibe.
Mm, I can see that.
Yeah, he's slubby like Oscar Madison, but he will run. He will move fast, which I can't see Oscar Madison ever like moving fast. He will run down and fall down some stairs. So I saw this other well, I don't
Well,
know.
wait, let's just stay contained to an episode.
Okay. I just saw similar stuff on another episode.
Hmm.
Um, one thing, we're talking about uptight. There were some lines that I thought were really great, and it might be the last line. I think Kolchak's, I don't even remember who said it. It was either Kolchak or the boss, but he was, I forgot the context, but they basically find out he's useless for this case or for this story.
But they keep him on the case. He's
Well,
like, I can't do this. I'm a mess. I'm gonna throw up because somebody told me about something,
Right. Somebody described having seen a dead body, and that was just too much for me.
and they keep him on it.
there's a someone tells him like it's the last line of the scene. I think it's the boss when he's kind of fed up with Uptight, and he says, "Weren't you on your way to the John Updike?" He, this is like, we're done, we're done.
God damn it.
And
I
then
would like I would like to take the opportunity to talk about Chicago in this specific show. Uh, every show about Chicago before the last, I don't know, 5 years or so has famously done Chicago dirty. And this one is hilarious. It's fairly accurate, aside from Laramie and Pulaski being parallel, they do not cross. Uh, and I don't know about the whole, I don't think there's a Wilton Park unless there was in the 70s. But the best, most accurate depiction of Chicago in any piece of media ever made was uh, Kolchak and his boss screaming at each other, and they had to stop because the L went by,
Yeah, I
oh,
love that moment.
and
That's
then they.
that's a wonderful moment.
It was perfection. I loved it. It was so
I hope that's in
perfect.
every episode.
Me too. It's
that's
great.
yeah, that's just like the Blues Brothers, like
Yeah.
Oh,
the boarding house or whatever, the flop house that they live in.
that's
Yeah,
great.
and he drives his convertible down, well, it's kind of the sleazy street where the Sultan Room and all those places are.
Oh, the Loop. He calls it Chicago's Times Square, which I guess in the 70s it was kind of like that. But by the 90s, when I moved there, it's just like boarded up businesses and offices and
The
shit.
Loop is downtown, right? It's the
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
the and uh like it's the circle around or the square
Yeah,
around.
it's where the L like loops around the downtown area. And I guess like there's like southern parts of it that had a lot more like nightlife. It didn't past a certain time, but uh, the loop itself is just like office buildings and like department stores,
Like Michigan
In the
has a
shopping.
new.
70s?
I know, I'm just saying now. I don't know what it was like in the 70s, but it doesn't look like it would be very nightlifey just because of the way the buildings look. It's so many office buildings. But I
Do
Do you
you
guys think that the boss at INS is like a secret sadist?
don't know. Yeah.
That like his shtick is to be a loud, like bombastic, you do what I do, blah 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 blah. But really, all he wants is for people to do the job that they're terrible at and keep them at it.
he just wants to make he just makes bad decisions. That's like
Yeah, that
make
too.
things tough for. And that's what I'm saying. Like he puts the wrong person on the wrong job.
And he
He,
can't back down because that would be him admitting that he was wrong, and he cannot do that. Just like a man.
he gives something for Kolchak to butt up against. Oh, one other line, which I think he says to the boss, is when Kolchak is at the end of his rope. He says, I really should have done more than just the last line. This is the end of a conversation. He says, well, then you're sitting on your brains. You don't hear lines like that
No,
that
it's
often.
great.
That is so.
Kolchak is kind of like he kind of stole the whole thing from Jane Plum, right?
Yes,
Like he takes
100%.
her out to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
She orders 16 things while he
Uh-huh.
rolls his eyes.
Because
Is that
she's
where
super
he
fat.
is that where he heard about? I thought he heard about it before that lunch. I
He
don't know.
heard about it before that.
Yeah.
He runs into her. He already knows her previously. He runs into her at the police press conference where the police chief is just making fun of him and repeatedly tells him to take his hat off. But he's like a regular Joe who just wears his hat wherever.
Sure.
And like, yeah, nobody's going to tell him what to do. Anyway, long story short, he takes Jane out to lunch and Jane's like, okay, so I have all of this great information about rippers throughout history, but I just can't seem to find an angle. And then Kolchak is like, what about cannibalism? And she's like, cannibalism, I love it. As she's taking a bite of celery because it's like funny for her to be crunching on something and talking about cannibalism.
Yeah, because she's big and fat.
So she's already got all of the background info, can't find an angle quote, and then he just steals it from her
Yeah.
and like goes and gets like one book on rippers.
I think he had a whole pile of books. And that was the one he talked about. Because he has like all these books that look identical on his desk. Because the internet wasn't around, you guys.
He is basically a bibliophiliac. I think
Right.
this, like
When we point one finger outwards, 4 point back at us.
but I mean he's dedicated. He lives for the story. Like that's like we don't know anything about it. I mean, we only watched one episode, but there's no like home life. There's no
Right.
He is a guy who's dedicated to get the story. He lives and breathes it.
We know that he likes to eat chili for lunch and that he does not play tennis.
He does a lot of running, though.
Because she said you have funny shoes.
Right.
Tennis shoes.
Yeah, they're tennis shoes.
Yeah.
That's what I wear too. I don't play tennis. Yeah. Great. So I have a couple of so another thing I love about him is I believe he is always carrying his camera and the bulky tape recorder. So he's always, and they're not easy. They don't like go in your pocket. So they're on a strap. He's always has them in his hand. He has them around his shoulder. Like they're always like kind of, unwieldy, taking up space. He's always fumbling with them. Kind of
He's
reminds
ready
me
to get that story.
yeah, right. But he remind me of Neil Hamburger, who's like just has like
Yes.
like
You know how Neil Hamburger, like you've seen where he has like 3 glasses and he's got
That's what I'm
one
saying.
in
Yeah,
the crooks
that's what
of
I'm
each of his, and like he switches between them.
he has like 5 glasses. Yeah, that's what Kolchak does. Neil Hamburger got it from Kolchak, I bet.
Once again, Neil Hamburger stealing from Carl Kolchak.
What? Again, God damn it.
The Night Stalker influencing underground comedy.
And then another thing, so the way he defeats the monster, the Ripper at the end, is part of his plan involves electricity, but we don't know what. He does go to this electrical supply store, which remember it was like almost complete darkness. It had like one little window where he got a cardboard box of random stuff.
The amount
Most of this
crimes.
episode is just a black screen.
Yeah, it was rough.
yeah.
It was
It's
hard
so
to
dark.
watch that end.
He's the Night Stalker.
Oh, that's true.
So, but what I loved is, so he has cables and a box of random bips and bobs.
Gloves.
And gloves. So we don't know what he's doing. That reminded me, like, there was like an A-Team sequence. Like he And a
Yeah.
building. So he does. We finally find out what it is. It's basically, well, we find like he hooks wires to a completely blown fuse box, which doesn't look like it's worked in 50 years.
No.
And he gets to electrocute the guy using the wires. That's the only way to stop him.
Yeah, he just put some wires in a pond and there you go.
Yeah, and then everything is burnt up in an electrical fire, leaving only a shoe that was discontinued 70 years ago by its maker.
Oh, that's
What a
right.
mystery. No
He
one would
burned up
believe it.
he burned up all the evidence and Jane Plum's body that was in his house.
She
He
was fat.
Oh, that's right. She just like
Ah.
plops, sorry. She just like flops out of like a blanket or
It's
something.
hilarious, right? She rolls over on top of him.
Oh, because she did go to like some meeting. Okay. What was her thing? She was writing letters back and forth, and she thought that this guy. She was like semi-romantic with the Ripper.
No. She was trying to catch the Ripper, and all these people were writing her letters saying, okay, let's meet here and here, and I will confess that I'm the Ripper to you.
They were
And
fake.
that's what, yeah.
Yeah, so she met with like 19 or 20 potential rippers and was having a blast.
How could you not?
Honestly, I would love to see a show that was like Jane Plum, the Night Stalker.
Well, that fat bitch is dead now, so
Or like Jane Plum, the lunch stalker.
oh, she's so fat.
Hashtag old lady called me that.
Ah.
Yeah, and by the way, when the old lady is like, oh, he met up with a girl in the park, because like she's a fucking spy.
Uh-huh.
Like this
That's
woman
all
is
she
just
does.
she's the Night Stalker.
Yes, she is.
So she's like so he met up with a girl, and Kolchak is like, what did she look like? Well, she was kind of fat. Fat! And then he runs off. Oh,
I
no,
only
it's
know
gotta
of
be
one
Jane.
person that's fat.
There aren't that many of them. And
I-
she's absurdly fat.
Like ridiculous. When she sits around the house, you guys. She sits around the house. Hey, how many crimes did he commit in that last fucking 10 minutes of the show? He like broke into this building supply place, stole the shit out of all this stuff. He like broke so many of this guy's windows, and also, why was the tea kettle on if he wasn't even home? Also, he burned everything. Kolchak, come on, do better.
Kolchak.
Well, I don't think he stole the electrical supplies. It looked like some guy handed it to him, so it looked like
Oh, I didn't notice that. I thought he was stealing for sure.
it did say like so and so electrical, and the guy gave him a box, even though it was pitch dark and there was like it was like through a doorway. But
I believe you. I just didn't notice. I thought he was like taking shit out of there. It was so dark. I don't know.
he
And then he just murdered that guy.
but did he?
Yeah. Yeah, there was nothing left but old clothes.
There's only one Ripper throughout history.
Everybody knows that.
He started in London in
Mhm.
1888. Was it 1888 or 1889?
Something like that.
I can't look it up, unfortunately.
Wasn't it even older? Like you mentioned in Germany, didn't it go back hundreds and hundreds of years? Even
Oh,
more?
wait. Were there ones that preceded Jack
I
the
thought-
Ripper?
I wasn't sure if those were before or after. I just knew there was a whole shitload of them.
Yeah, I thought he mentioned a big timeline. Yeah, so they were kind of making the Ripper kind of like a new type of monster that was interesting. Because he said all the other ones killed 5 times, so they said like, so this one's got 2 left. Like, I mean, they have to operate the exact same way.
Right. And he's on a
5 times.
timeline. He's got to do it by, the clock is always running.
No, Draculas don't like garlic. Werewolves don't like pesto, and Rippers do 5 murders. That's just the rule.
Yeah. Palpatines don't like Yodas.
Mm.
And Greedos shoot last. First, I forget which one. So the ending. So this is, I think, the real X-Files moment, real X-Files
Yeah.
ethos.
I was thinking that too.
He's typing it up, so the evidence, the hard evidence, was gone.
Mm-hmm.
He saw all this crazy stuff. So did other people. Oh, he even brought it up at the with the cops. Like this guy jumped down 4 stories off a building. He got hit by a car, walked away. He was shot at. Nothing would stop him. And the cop, oh yeah, that old police chief was like, like,
Yeah, the
they would
police
not
chief did
admit,
not want to hear about it at all. He did not give a shit.
they don't admit to anything out of the ordinary, anything supernatural. And at the end, Kolchak has no evidence except for a shoe, which is not evidence. So so he has seen it, he has observed it. No one else will acknowledge it. So it just leaves an air uh of mystery, of possibility. Like the supernatural exists, but it's not commonplace. The common person will not understand it, but I've given you a glimpse, a sprinkling of the supernatural world. And then
It's a fascinating type of conspiracy theorist because he knew that something was up. He steals basically everything from Jane. He follows it up. He sees all of this like compelling evidence, but none of it exists any longer. So he crumples up the page and decides, I'm just like the illuminated one. No one's going to believe me anyway. I'll go about my life knowing that I'm better than other people.
Typical white man.
at the
Hey.
end,
Hey.
after he goes,
He's like the Mulder, and the entirety of Chicago is Scully. They've seen it happen, but they just don't get it.
Just want a hot Italian beef.
Yep, just like Scully.
he
Oh.
right at the
You said
end,
it.
Kolchak says, yeah, after he goes through the evidence disappeared, he has a shoe. So what? He just says,
It's a shoe.
he says, who would believe it?
Yeah.
So it's like, I've shown you this fantastic tale, but who would believe it? Like, what's there to prove that there's
Which
nothing?
is like a good ending.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine.
Right.
Like,
It's fine.
I bet the other episodes have similar endings.
yeah.
Because it's not like they build on. I think it's pretty episodic. I don't think it had.
He doesn't fall in love with the city of Chicago and they have a baby together.
He
But
needs a Scully, though.
Nah, he doesn't though.
Don't you think?
Nah.
Well, it seems like everyone else is kind of the scholar,
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm
boss or the
saying.
police or the. Oh, one thing is, do you remember there was a younger guy in the office with dark hair, and he's the guy who developed the photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He seemed a little creepy, and I thought, like, is this guy going to turn into a monster? Maybe some other episode.
Yeah.
He seemed suspicious to me, like he could be like an invisible man or a Black Lagoon guy or something.
I like the idea that Black Lagoon guy is a type of monster.
Of course, Universal Monster.
Yeah.
He's in the big six.
Yeah, that guy was like very critical of Kolchak's photography. He's like, these pictures all suck.
Yeah, because he's using one of those little cube flashes. They're not going to get any further than 3 feet away. What is
He has like a little spy cam. It's like a compact model.
And it sucks. Of course his photos suck. Yes.
Well, I mean, rippers famously only have the back of a head.
That's true.
We finally did see the guy. We saw
And it was Kenny Loggins. I couldn't believe it.
It was like a young, handsome guy with facial hair who kind of looked like a vampire, like a a swashbuckling vampire kind of.
Yeah, he was like
dark and debonair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A debonair ripper. So they touch on like Kolchak and Jane discuss how the victims are either all sex workers or semi-pro,
Yeah. I
but
don't.
like one Ripper had a thing for flower girls. What is that? Flower girls.
I glazed over that. I don't
Does that mean a
know.
florist?
Maybe because I hope it's not little girls in a wedding, and that's the only flower girl I know. What?
I didn't know. I think they were making this reference to the original Jack the Ripper. Flower girls might be girls who sell flowers, like
Right.
the
Oh,
past.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
I don't know.
That postscript, I could listen to him talk all day. There was like such a gorgeous tone to his voice. He started to sound like Ken Nordine, and I loved it so much.
Yeah, he has a great voice, and I did glance. He's done a bunch of voice acting, cartoons and stuff. He's just be great as like a narrator. Like he just has one of
Hmm.
those voices.
He has that sort of old school authoritative voice. I bet that he was also the voice of, like, if they had this back in the day, like they didn't have pharmaceutical ads, but like the voice of the local yellow pages, like a thing that you can count on. He's that voice.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Do we know why this show was canceled? Was it a ratings issue?
It was too controversial that they had that big fat lady in it. God damn it. I'm so mad at the 70s.
Um, I assume it's ratings, although
Right.
it's yeah, I mean it's become a cult hit, over the years. Oh, there actually was a version. They tried to make another. They tried to revive this show. Totally new cast. I watched the first episode. It was really lame. I mean, this was like 15 years ago or something. I think they just called it Night Stalker. It was the same premise, but the lead guy was just kind of like a young, handsome, pretty boy. It had
Hmm.
none of
Snore.
the flavor of McGavin. So it was
I
just
did
another kind of investigation, X-Files kind of show.
I did see there was another Night Stalker. I didn't know if it was related or not.
There's Richard Ramirez.
Oh, that's what it was. It was a documentary. Never mind.
When was Richard Ramirez the Night Stalker? Did he take his name from this show?
Oh, I think it was in the 80s.
So maybe,
Yeah.
maybe unconnected.
He had a thing for Polish journalists. Hey,
Wait, how
what's
many
with.
people did he kill? Was he a Ripper? Did he have 5 kills? Maybe he had lots more. I don't know.
I have no idea.
This is a serial killer podcast now.
That's right. We
But
don't
we
know
don't do
anything
any
about him. No.
research. We ask each other
Do
questions that we don't know the answers to.
do not care for it one bit, but we'll talk about it. What is with the 70s and Polish detectives and investigators and whatnot? Was that a thing or is that just me?
I think that it's a Chicago thing.
Oh, that makes sense.
Well, who else? Is Kojak? Is that Polish?
Maybe. Uh,
Maybe.
what was the other one? God, now I can't think of any of them,
I
and I
mean, there
didn't
there
write
were a
any
lot. There
down.
was Columbo, there was Beretta, there was Kojak, there was Ironsides, uh,
Mannix?
Mannix.
I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong, and I was only thinking of Kolchak, even though I don't remember it existing. I don't know.
TJ Hooker?
Yep, Polak.
Wow.
It's fine. I'm Polish.
Yowza.
I'm not. Yeah, because Chicago has the second, or at least it used to have the second largest Polish population outside of Prague, I believe. Wait, I think. I don't know. You know what? Forget I said that because I don't know what I'm talking about. Never mind.
Yeah, a lot of Poles, Prussians, etc. in the Chicago area, right?
Deeply segregated, every single one of us.
Are you saying Lithuanians and Latvians don't mix?
You said that, not me.
No, I'm asking.
I don't know. I don't know. I will tell you that it is a very segregated city, whether that's by design or not. I don't know.
But are there like little sort of like ethnic enclaves that
Hmm.
that have beaten gentrification? Because my understanding is gentrification beats everything.
Oh, well, yeah. There's white people everywhere. I don't know if that. Uh, I don't know if that even counts though. With you know what, gentrification in Chicago is fucking disgusting, and it turns everything into boxes that are gray. That's all I know. It's your rent goes up, it doubles every fucking year because there's new white people moving in. That's it.
I object.
Fuck you, white man.
I live in a Polish neighborhood. How about that?
I am of a Polish extraction. Can you get good punchkis?
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially around the party time.
Easter?
Yep.
Oh, Dingus Day just happened.
Wait, what's Dingus Day?
You call yourself a Polak? Like the biggest Polish holiday. You know, no Dingus Day? I actually do have to go. I would love to talk Dingus
Okay.
Day. It's a
Well,
real
let's
thing.
let's wrap it up. Hey,
Guys, that is all the
guys.
time we have for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Aiden, thank you. You've been amazing. You are
Thank
welcome back
you.
Right.
anytime.
Loved it. Loved it. Love to be back. Let's talk about old TV, forgotten. Let's talk about the Great Space Coaster next time.
Gary Gnu. Um,
Bye.